The payment protection program, which was provided through the CARES Act. I'll be honest, when I first heard about it, it clearly sounded like it was way too small. And quite frankly, it just sounded very bureaucratic. It's supposed to be approved through the SBA, but you can apply for it directly through your lender. I mean, once, yeah, we come to find out, of course, I mean, I read the details of it and saw essentially banks were getting commissions for approving these loans, and they really didn't have to do much. I mean, it was minimal underwriting, and it's federally backed loans, aka taxpayer backed loans. Um, and the funny part is, well, yeah, so it's taxpayer backed loans, and they get from 5%, from the lower amount to 1% for the much higher amount. I think above $1 million, they get like 1%. So essentially, banks were incentivized to approve larger amounts to get a higher commission. So, yeah, if you're a small business, you come around and you just want $10,000, and you get a much larger or mid-sized location where now we find out they're national chains that were being made eligible because there was a provision in the bill that said under 500 people per location, um, which I mean I thought we pretty much deemed smaller businesses like under 50, but maybe under 100, but under 500, I mean, you're getting more to it's not a large business, but it surely isn't small. It's not like a restaurant. I don't think of that as a restaurant at all, like a mom and pop restaurant, which I thought was supposed to be the main target. But yeah, so of course, yeah, you get some smaller business that just needs to cover payroll for a few months, and you get a much larger one, probably more likely, which I think this was targeted to, was like more white collar jobs. And I'll say exactly why I believe that in a moment, but that comes and needs like 100,000, 200,000, or $1 million. Who's going to get preferential treatment? I mean, the incentive structure was built within the loan. And I mean, and looking at the provision for it to be forgivable, which means 75% of the money has to be towards payroll and the other 25% can be non-payroll expenses. I mean, you clearly aren't talking about a mom and pop place, because would you think those people are making that much money? I mean, a lot of the money for a lot of those businesses is probably going to be tailored towards, really is going to be just the real estate, you know, the rent, um, and as well as yeah, especially like a barber shop, hair salon. I mean, often those people are like contractors, or or essentially self-employed in and of themselves. A lot of them aren't on payroll, um, which people that aren't that are self-employed can also qualify for this too. But uh, essentially, like at a restaurant, with the busboy or something like that, the bartenders, the cooks, I mean, you think they're going to really qualify for, they're going to hit that 75% mark? Honestly, I don't think so. I mean, it's not much middle management in there to make up a big gap of wages so that they can meet the amount to be forgivable. And I mean, the other good aspect of it was the interest rate is pretty decent, but the terms of that actually got changed. It actually was a lot more favorable before essentially lenders told the Treasury Department, we won't, the bigger lenders said, we won't issue any of these loans or participate if you don't change the terms. The original terms for the payment protection program was um, in the initial guidance, the Treasury Department said banks will charge a 0.5% fixed interest rate, and that's a loan's unforgivable portion, and that a loan's unforgiven portion can be repaid over 10 years. But big lenders, the bank said, well, if it doesn't really basically provide us a big enough return, we don't even want to be involved. So the JP Morgan Chases and the Bank of America said, yeah, if you don't make those terms a little bit better. So they changed it and doubled the interest rate to 1% and made it a much shorter period of 2 years, which I mean, it's still a decent loan, but it's pretty jacked up. That basically the lenders that we bailed out come around and say, yeah, I still want more money. Because the thing is, they're not just getting interest; they're getting commission on the loans too. So it's not like they're only making money from the interest. They still get paid just to process and issue the loan. They just send the information over to SBA, and the SBA approves it, and then because the SBA just has to back it. So this didn't, to me, the way the terms came out, and that change, took place on April 3rd, pretty much right before it debuted. So it didn't even sound like, to me, it was really tailored toward many small businesses, which were quite what I thought was going to come out of this, which I still think is going to come out of this, which it basically was happening. I know people see the shiny star, like see the shiny object of, these IPO companies taking the money, which of course they're going to do that if you put a provision in there that says under 500 per physical location. That's why the lenders took it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what the lenders expected, and that's why they got involved in the program, the bigger lenders, to give the 10 million to 20 million. Because if they were just going to be issuing, 10,000, $20,000 loans, they probably wouldn't have even got involved. You wouldn't, it would have been specifically done through probably community banks. Which I don't even know if they would have been able to handle that much volume anyways. And I don't even know bigger lenders would have even thought it would have been worth their time to have someone processing that, or they would not have dedicated um, much labor force, much working capacity towards it, which just would have delayed it, and a lot of people still would have been waiting a long time for their money. So, what's still probably going to play out is you're going to see a lot of small businesses that may have been around for a long time that had some really good real estate that they got long ago that are going to basically fall, a lot of them. And then you're going to see national change or bigger companies, the mid-sized companies, or even the larger ones that are going to get the bailout from the larger 500 billion, which is being leveraged to $4 trillion through the Fed, take up a lot of good market share that, a lot of older companies that have been around for a long time, or just, yeah, it's just going to be a lot more Chipotle's, a lot more Taco Bell's, a lot more McDonald's, that are going to take up the market share that a lot of these other small businesses had, or they may buy them out, but I doubt it. I think they're just going to replace them, which is pretty horrible because the name of it, the program sounds like it has good intent, but the way it was written was so sloppy. And it's already been totally corrupted, and I don't see anything good long term coming out of this at all. And this is totally separate from the other bailout, corporate bailout that was also included in the CARES Act. Sucks.